Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Evan Radisic. I'm the Managing Director of the Cloud Software Association. And today with us, we have Danielle Moore. She's Director of Channel Marketing at SpaceIQ, and Daniel Graff-Radford, CEO of Allbound. We're going to have a pretty engaging conversation about a topic that I think is a big problem, a huge problem for a lot of CSA members, partner engagement. I've been in this position before, and I think I can probably name at least 20 off the top of my head where they've come into an organization with kind of a pre-existing program, and it's there's a bunch of partners in there, and it's really they're not doing much, and really it's figuring out how to re-engage and get the machine rolling again. So in some shape or form, that scenario is very much a real problem for a lot of people. So we're going to have a discussion around that. We're going to try to keep this pretty interactive, casual questions, throw it in there. There's really no rules. We really want to just share some of the experiences of these two individuals. So what I'll do is, Daniel, if you just want to do like a quick little intro, who you are, what's going on, just like a little pitch, and then Daniel will do the same thing, and then we'll kind of jump into it. Sound good?
That sounds great. Since our names are so similar, I think Danielle, I think you're first.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here today. I am Danielle Moore. I'm the Director of Channel Marketing for SpaceIQ. And for those of you that don't know SpaceIQ, SpaceIQ as it stands today is really the combination of 3 different companies / products that have come together over the last few years: Archibus, SarahView, and what is now known as SIQ, formerly known as SpaceIQ, the product. And our solutions help organizations manage and optimize workplaces. So whether that's through space management, asset management, capital projects, sustainability and risk, we have all kinds of solutions, especially when it comes to helping folks get back to the office.
Awesome, thanks. And I think a lot of people know Daniel already. He runs a pretty integral product for a lot of our members, Allbound, but I'll let you kind of just do a quick little, just in case there's a few people that don't know you.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much for having us. And I think you guys are in for a treat with Danielle. I think the program that she's built has been through a lot of things that a lot of you guys have reached out to us or others for to learn about how to overcome. So I think this will be a lot of fun. So you guys know me. I'm Daniel Graff-Radford, the CEO here at Allbound. If for some reason you don't know us, we are one of the fastest growing PRM, partner relationship management companies in the world, and excited to kind of share our little piece of the puzzle that helped Danielle grow her business.
Great, awesome. All right, so just to kind of get really, I like to kind of create friction right off the bat, just to kind of get the problem out in the front. So I know, Dan, you kind of came in, what is it, probably almost 2 years ago now. Mm-hmm. And since then, especially kind of last year, you guys had a record partner revenue growth. It was kind of just this huge success, which is kind of what got my attention and quite a few people at the CSA, is that because it wasn't an easy year for a lot of people, right? There was a lot of, where everything happened with COVID, there was a lot of pivots, there was a lot of things. Even if it was a status quo, nothing happened, this is a feat, but you kind of threw it out of the park. So kind of when you came into the organization, what was your first step? What was when you were kind of taking that pulse and figuring out what am I in for? Can you just kind of walk us through that, that anxiety stage where you're just oh my God, what am I doing? Just walk us through that just first.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, so as you mentioned, I've been with SpaceIQ for almost 2 years now. And when I came on board, we were just starting to roll out Allbound. Prior to that, we had this homegrown, archaic looking portal that was really, it looked like a sitemap that people could just download documents from. So not very intuitive, not easy to navigate, not very helpful. So really, I kind of dove headfirst right into the whole Allbound and getting everything transferred. So obviously we had to transfer all of the relevant documentation from that old portal into the new one, and getting partners engaged and just knowing that there was a new portal. I mean, there's a lot of change all at once, right? And change is hard no matter who's doing it or what's happening. I think any kind of change is hard, even if it's for the better, right? Just getting used to a new tool and all that. And the other thing that we were having an issue with was the communication. We weren't really communicating all that well with our partners, and our partners were telling us that a lot. So the putting Allbound into place really helped us with step one, and that was getting everything in a nice, easy to navigate place. And there's so many other features that I'll talk about in a second, but really just getting that first piece, that was really my main goal, was to get all of the information into the portal and then get partners utilizing it.
So that's great. So I mean, when you kind of got in there and you started kind of listening to that feedback, I know you mentioned before, like there was a kind of an issue around kind of transparency and engagement. Like they weren't really, was it like a trust thing? Like what was the reoccurring theme that was coming back from the partners? I mean, it's nice to say like, oh, you guys are not communicating, but like you don't know what they want communication. Like, do you need more sales support? Do you need more, like, what was it? Like, what were the details around that? Like, what was the big hurdle that kept coming up from that kind of that communication bracket, right?
Right. Yeah. And I would say, I mean, obviously they would know when product releases would come out and that sort of thing. But other than that, there was really no information, no sales information or marketing information, what we were doing from our side. So they would know like how they could align to our marketing plans and strategy. So I think that was the key issue there. I mean, it was really just communication in general. And I don't want to say that they didn't trust us, because I think they do, and they did, but just having that regular communication with them, I think it was what was lacking.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those fine lines, right? You want to kind of provide enough information, but you don't want to bombard them either. So it's finding a middle ground. It's different for every company, different for every product. Some are easier to use, some are not, some are more complex, some are like super kind of out of the box. So I don't think it's ever really about trust. I think, if it's a reputable company, it's all good. It's really just about like, showing a little bit of love. It's like, guide us through a few things. We want to make sure we're important enough that you want to talk to us, right? But I'm always kind of curious, like what the approach is. Is it like you go full out? Like, I'm sure you guys didn't go like right out of the bat, like, okay, we're gonna do like, we're gonna hit him with like an email every 3 days on this, and we're gonna, like, it didn't go from like that, like, what are we doing? We're doing nothing, to like 100%. So I'm assuming there was kind of like the scalability around, like, we want to get to a point where they're aware of all of these things, but we're not going to hit them at the first time, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I think of our channel team as an extension of our sales organization. I mean, I focus mostly on Archibus, and Archibus is sold mostly through the channel. So they really are our sales team, right? So what would you share with your sales team? And so the first thing that we did was we rolled out a monthly channel newsletter. So that can include product information, sales information, training, marketing, everything that they need to know. The one-off emails, sometimes they can work, obviously, if you have something really important that you need to get out. But a lot of times, partners, you're not the only vendor that they're working with, right? So if you're bombarding them with email after email and every other vendor is doing the same thing, they're just gonna not pay attention anymore. So we decided to do a monthly channel newsletter. We felt like that was a good cadence to be able to get everything that they would need in one place. And we also archive that on the partner portal, so they can always go back to older versions if they need to.
Oh, that's amazing.
Evan, just to add a little bit of context to the beginning of this story, since I remember when the executive team was evaluating both us and competitors, and also looking at Danielle and trying to figure out, who could lead this program. And I remember they had almost an existential set of questions about 90% of the revenues were coming from partners, but they didn't know there was no deal registration really happening. There wasn't communication. And so money would show up or not show up. And it was sort of, random and unpredictable. And because it was so critical to their, ability to succeed was to understand, have predictability of that channel revenue that accounted for 90% of their revenues at the time. They had to figure this out. And so, having someone like Danielle come in and put into place, guardrails for these partners to be able to have more success by better engagement, just like what you're saying. They're looking for more communication from Danielle and her team, but also, Danielle's team's looking for more visibility into the deal flow and the discounting and all the things that happen there. And so, it ended up into an interesting sort of they called it in their team the come to Jesus meeting that they had in New Orleans. They flew in all their global partners and said, you're going to start registering your deals and you're going to start getting access to it, and we're going to redo the portal as this new thing, and also we're going to put someone in place, which turned out to be Danielle, to run it. But they, what the partners were getting out of it were things like MDF, market development funds. They were getting better communication more often. And so it was more about the carrots as opposed to the stick of you have to register the deal, but it was very clear that they would not be able to sell things that weren't registered. And so I think it was really disruptive to what was all of their revenue basically. And I just wanted to give that context. So it felt very chancy in the beginning when they were making these changes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because one of those things is that, like, especially if there's already revenue there, right? Like that's always tricky because you're like, oh, they're like, it's happening, like we're getting something out of this. However, if you don't understand it, you can't really scale it. Like if it's just a circus and it's just like, yeah, great, people enjoy it. Like there's stuff happening and there's color, it's all good. But like if you don't understand how to like make it better, it's going to be really hard to scale. So I bet that was kind of like a super nerve-wracking thing and be like, look, we're going to start employing something to something that's kind of already working, but it's just chaotic and missing a few bugs. So what was I'm sure there must have been like a hurdle in the beginning where it's like, what do we do? Like what's going on? Like nervousness, kind of like that hump where it's like, okay, like maybe a few people laugh, like a few partners laugh. There was probably a little reshuffle with a change, but then it kind of clicks into like the new gear, right? Can you kind of talk a little bit about that hurdle if you had one? I don't know. Maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe it was smooth sailing all the way through.
No, so we were actually, before we had Allbound, we were trying to track partner deals via Excel. So you can imagine we have, a little over 100 global partners, trying to get all of that information. So it wasn't great at all. And so we put all the information that we had into the system. And again, of course, change is always hard. Partners were kind of taken aback. Well, why do you need this information? Are you checking up on me? That kind of thing. And really, from our perspective, not only do we want to be able to have better visibility into the pipeline, but we also want to be there to support our partners, right? If we know that a deal is coming, we can prepare whatever we need to in order to help the partner be successful. So it was kind of a twofold thing, right? Like we want to help you and we want you to help us, kind of thing. So getting them to realize that, I think they've all come around now, and all of our deals are obviously registered through the portal now. So we have great visibility and we're able to better support our partners through their deals.
Nice. Did you see a trend when the deal registration was kind of put in place, where the high performing partners that were there before, were they leveling up, or was there like a change of guard or anything like that? Like, was it the kind of usual suspects that still were kind of performing, or was it a little bit different?
I think it stayed about the same. We have had a few partners that, because they saw the support that they were being given throughout the deal process, that they were more willing to register deals earlier on so we could get better visibility into what was coming. And it kind of snowballed, right? I mean, they know that we're going to help them, so they're more willing to register the deal, and then we are able to help them close the deal. So there has been a little bit of that, but I mean, I think you'll always have those top players that will always outperform the rest
Yeah,
and always
yeah,
be
yeah.
the proactive gung-ho partner.
And
Yeah.
Evan, that's a really important thing, which is when someone registers a deal, the type of interaction Danielle's team is doing is offering content or resources to help them win the deal. The behavior that doesn't go so well is the constant checking up on, can you move the deal forward? So when you're showing up with content and resources and maybe discounts or whatever is needed to win, that tends to be where they start, you see more and more registration as opposed
Mm-hmm.
to how about now, how about now, are we there yet?
Yeah, and actually for our deals, we once the partner registers the deal, they are not able to change the status because we have cadence calls set up on a weekly or biweekly basis, depending on the partner. And we go through every single deal on every call and we move through the status or the stage with them. That way we know exactly what's happening and we can give them that support as well. Some partners are a little bit, you know, they don't like it too much that we're in control, but it really helps us because we know what's going on and we can help them where needed.
Yeah, I was going to ask, because I know with a lot of deal reg, you know, people are kind of trying to figure out how to move them forward. So some will say, look, you're gonna register this deal, and then that's going to go into our CRM, and our sales team is going to be able to see, okay, that's a partner registered lead. We're going to put an AE, or like, or if the partner management department themselves is managing all of it. So there's different ways you can kind of push that partner registered deal through your organization to close it. So can you just walk us through just kind of how you're doing that? Is your own sales team involved, or is it just the partner team and the partner from start to finish, right?
So I would say it's mostly the partner from start to finish. Our channel sales team will jump on calls if needed. So we have a business development manager and a partner account manager for each region. And so they are really there to help the partner, right, with any marketing materials that they may need, any sales materials, any demos, if they need, you know, help on specific things. So, but it's really the partner that is driving it, and we are the ones that are supporting them.
Okay, that's good. And how many would you like? Is it when you get on those? Is it every 2 weeks? You said every 2 weeks you kind of get on and go through deals.
Depending on the partner,
Are we
sometimes it's
talking
weekly.
like 100 deals, 5? Like what? How long is that call with the partner? Is kind of what I'm getting to. Is like how many deals are you actually walking through?
Yes, I think they have them set up for about an hour, and you know, sometimes they don't actually get to go through all the ones, right? Every single deal, but they go through the top ones that are moving forward, or maybe they have questions on, or maybe it hasn't moved. And so they're wondering what the status is. So I would say typically between leads that we have provided to our partners and deals that they have registered, I mean, and again, depending on the partner size, right? We have other top partners that have multiple sales reps that are registering deals. So they could have maybe, you know, 50 in the pipeline, whereas others could have 10. It just depends on
Gotcha.
the size.
And on your side, I guess the rep on call to kind of help them with marketing, whatever. Like, do you have a specific number in mind for how many partners they can help at a time? Like, I'm just thinking, like, you know, are they responsible for, say, a book of 20 partners or 30 partners per rep, or like, what's your kind of cadence around that piece of it?
So we focus more on the top partners, right? So we have a partner program. We have 3 levels. Well, 4 really, I guess, we have a global level that we just added. So we focus more on the top set of partners that are really moving those deals on the bi-weekly cadence calls. And then for some of the smaller partners that are lower in tier, we maybe meet with them once a month or once a quarter.
Okay. Okay.
So, and as far as, you know, how many they handle, it depends. I mean, we have a lot of smaller partners in North America and a handful of larger partners. So a partner account manager is able to manage more because they're not meeting with the smaller partners
Right.
as much.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, you know, as you have more deals, you bring in more revenue, you get more support, and you need more support, right? So it makes sense that you would kind of spend more time with the kind of higher performing ones. And that kind of encourages, obviously partners kind of bring in more deals if they want that kind of, I guess added support or whatever. So,
Sure.
yeah, that's neat. Okay, so we've got a monthly newsletter, or partner newsletter. What do you call it? Just newsletter?
We call it channel news.
Channel news.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So channel news, we've got a deal registration that was put in place, which is huge. I think we can probably spend an hour just talking about deal reg, but I just want to make sure that we're kind of touching on a few things, and then we can kind of answer, like, everybody, if you have questions, just throw them in there and then we'll kind of go back to it. So we've got those two. What was the next thing that you were kind of like, okay, we've got deal reg, it's working, we're going to kind of refine it as we go. We've got this monthly letter going out. Like, what was the next thing that you kind of wanted to make sure? I know that that was started the communication, right? But like,
Mm-hmm.
what was the next thing you kind of thought, okay, we got to do this?
Yeah, so the next step for us was assigning leads to partners. So they were registering the deals that they had leads coming in from, whatever marketing activities or sales activities that they were doing. But we also generate leads on our side, and we wanted to share those with our partners. So that was the next step in getting all that set up in the partner portal and getting the partners trained on how that works. So basically, how we have it set up is an MQL, or what we call a form fill, comes in. We have somebody on our side, an SDR, that kind of just qualifies it initially, to get out all the junk and everything like that. And once we know that it is a solid lead, we'll call it, then we assign it to a partner, and that is based on their location, their specialty, their industry, that sort of thing. So we have a partner matrix, and that is an Excel document that we use right now. That just lists out every partner, and it lists what type of leads they should be receiving. So that SDR knows exactly who to put them in touch with.
Interesting. So I know I've had a few conversations around this, right? Lead distribution is always, it's a benefit for some companies and not so much on others. But this notion of like rotation, it's like, so it's not the same partner getting the same deal. So everybody's kind of got their ideas around like, what an algorithm would look like. But at the end of the day, like 95% of people that I talk to are running it out of like an Excel sheet. So that's why I kind of laugh. But how do you have that set up? Is it really just like, and I'm assuming you're counting, that they got the deal, that they sealed the deal. Like, do you know like what the purse of revenue that you're passing on to them? Like, exactly?
Yeah. So I should clarify a little bit. The spreadsheet is just so the SDR knows who to assign it to. They actually go into Salesforce, our CRM. They assign it to the partner, which then syncs with Allbound. So the partner gets a notification in addition to the email that introduces the partner to the lead. But in Allbound, they are able to see the lead that is assigned to them. And then it kind of follows the same process. When they're ready to register the deal, they can do it directly from that lead. And then, we can track it through Salesforce. So we know exactly how many leads we have passed on to partners that have turned into close ones.
Perfect. So it's just a deal registration, but it's on you guys are registering the deal so they can see it under their existing deck, kind of see, okay. But I'm assuming it's like tagged as like, this is what we gave you kind of thing. Yeah. Yes. Gotcha. Okay. So the Excel sheet is really just like, so they're not shuffling around trying to figure out who the hell they're, okay.
Kind of the model that we see very, very often is like this, where the sales rep goes into Salesforce that works for, someone like SpaceIQ, and they're able to assign it in there to the partner, and then it gets pushed off through Allbound. But it creates sort of a joint dashboard that both can track it, internally in the CRM and for the partners in the PRM. I see that we've got multiple questions, Danielle, on how you choose which partner. So when the SDR, they don't have a spinner. Is it you kind of talked about it, choosing it based on geography, but if you have two that qualified, does the SDR get to pick, or do you do a rotation? Who wins?
So the way that we have the spreadsheet set up and the partners listed is it's very specific. So there is no round robin or anything like that. It goes region, country, and then of course in North America, state. But then there's also the industries. So we've designated specific industries for specific partners. And then if they have any specialization, like for our Archibus SaaS offering, if they're certified in that, then they're also listed in there. So it's not really, the SDR doesn't have to do any guessing. It's very prescriptive.
That's
right. So does it, I'm trying to think, like, is it specific type of expertise that you, like if an inbound comes in and you say, look, great, we have a better chance of sealing this deal if we bundle with this service or that service, and you kind of know, okay, this partner does work with that software piece or that consulting or whatever that it is that kind of the decision? Like, I'm trying to think, like, because there's a question in there around, like, how do you make that clear decision of, like, yeah, we're going to give this to our own sales team and we're going to give this to a partner. Obviously you're trying to determine, like, who is, same as you would, like, if a lead comes in, say, are we going to give this to John or are we going to give this to Dave? Like, who's stronger? Oh, it's like, well, John has a background in this industry, like he's probably going to have a better conversation, better chance to close. I'm assuming you're kind of going through that same kind of decision making around, like, who is best positioned to close this deal, partner, internal? Like, can you kind of walk us through that decision-making process, if there is one?
Yeah, so really, up until maybe not even a month ago, we were all channel. I mean, we had a few deals that came in direct, but those were kind of just handled one-off. We didn't have a direct team at all. So we've just now brought somebody on board, and we're kind of walking through and working through how that is all going to work. So very similar to the partner matrix, we have listed out exactly, what type of leads should come through to the direct side. And it's going to be very minimal, right? I mean, we only have one person, so still we're very much focused on our partners in the channel. But it's really just, going through different scenarios and saying, okay, listing them out on Word document or Excel document, whatever, and saying, if it's this, this, and this, then it goes here. If it's this, this, and this, it goes here.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, when you're relying on majority of revenue through partners, like, you have no choice but to really nail this, right? That's why I find this conversation really important, because it's not like this is an experiment, this is critical to the business success, right? So
yes.
Which is in some instances is a rarity within this. It's, departments or partnership departments usually kind of the add-on to sales. It's like, hey, we have 10%, we want to get it to 30, maybe 40, maybe 60, but it's a gradual kind of climb up. But when it's the other way around, when it's like representing 90, and it's like, well, let's keep it, large, right? And then scaling internal sales team. So this is great. So here we go. So on the marketing side, I know when we had a chance to chat, we talked about this idea of kind of utilizing partners to go in on deals together, like whether it's a specific deal or whether it's like, okay, this month we're going to focus on positioning this portion of the product, right? So everybody internally, partners externally, is going to be talking about the same theme, same promotion, whatever that case is, but getting alignment so that it's not like we're doing this, that partner's doing that thing, and the other partner's doing the 10th thing, and there's no and it's usually the case, right? Everybody's just like doing their thing and there's no coordination. And it's like, everybody knows, like, you're stronger together kind of thing. But it's easy said, a whole other thing to coordinate 100 different partners across states, countries, to align and go in it together. So can you kind of walk us through kind of how you started thinking about that, and then some of the things you started employing into it?
Yeah, sure. So I think we heard from a lot of our partners that they did want to be more aligned with what we were doing. And so our solution was, first, we are now doing a quarterly marketing plan webinar where I go through what we are doing on our side from a marketing standpoint, so they know what our marketing plan is and our strategy. And then we also include campaigns in a box in the partner portal, or Allbound. So that gives the partners content that they can use that aligns with the campaigns that we're going to be running. And then that way we all have one cohesive message to the market.
I do remember you saying the campaigns in a box, and honestly, I thought, I was like, you gotta put that on a t-shirt or something, because and everybody's got a name for it. It's, it's essentially just, package of marketing materials that you don't. But if you're, it's never, everybody that I've seen tries to kind of, because they don't, the partner program doesn't represent a huge portion of their revenue. They try to put all their marketing materials all in one box for every campaign, for every little thing. So it's like, hey, if you need anything at all under the sun, you're going to find it in this bucket. And I feel like there's no strategy behind that. It's just, I mean, it's better than not having it for sure. But, having something that's like more coordinated with a little bit of strategy around, like, okay, like if we're running this campaign, use these pieces, if you're running this campaign, use these pieces. So more coordination strategy behind that. And the marketing plan. So why don't we, what did you start with first? Was it the, really kind of getting that marketing plan in place and getting on calls, or was it the box?
So we did launch a few campaigns in a box first. And that's when we kind of heard from our partners, this is great, but can you give us a little bit more advance so we have time, or advance notice, so we have more time to prepare things on our side. And that way, when we launch, we're launching at the same time. So then that's when we came up with the marketing plan webinar. But I can show, if you want me to, what a campaign.
That'd be amazing. Actually, I know you said you had something you can actually share around the marketing stuff. So I'd love to see it. I know a lot of people would too.
Okay, sure.
Can you share screen?
While Danielle pulls that up, her team is truly amazing at this. I remember in March of last year at the, COVID was sort of new. I was like, how is this going to work for them doing real estate planning software? Like, who's planning real estate during COVID? And her team did such an amazing job of leaning into how people can plan for hybrid and stay at home and how that's going to change. But then how do you lean into that for your partners and create messaging, get them all on the same page? Like, it could have gone very, very differently. When I look across our whole customer base, companies that did as well as she did in terms of leaning into what they could be in that difference had massive success. And so, what you're going to see here are ways that you can kind of club things together into not just what to send to people, but how to do it at the same time, which lets her get thousands of people armed very, very quickly when it really, really mattered. It was existential to them, in Q1, Q2 last year. And they've had an amazing financial success from that. So sorry, go ahead, Danielle.
Yeah, no problem. So we have a section here specifically for our campaigns in a box.
And I mean, as you get into this, like what really excited me about this when we chatted was this whole idea of like everything's kind of monthly. It's like, we're going to get on a call, go through deals. We're going to get on a call. We're going to work through what stage in our annual marketing plan we're in. And that's got to align with the monthly, campaign in the box. So everything. So when they get a piece of communication from you, it's falling into the rest of the plan. It's not like these like, FYI, check this out, or FYI, check this out. It's like when you hear from you, they want to read it because they know it's part of a much bigger strategy that everybody else is on board. So if they don't get on board, they're missing out. And I love the fact that it's creating that kind of like, we got to listen, we got to pay attention, everybody's going to make some money, everything's going to be great. All we got to do is just follow the instruction and read this, right? And that's kind of, yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I think the partners are really, I mean, at first, obviously, right, again, with change, it takes time, but now the partners really see the value in the channel news, monthly channel news. And the last few months, we've actually had at least one person from every single partner opening and reading the newsletter. So I think that's pretty good. But this is what we put together for our campaign in a box. And it's very simple. We're using the tools within Allbound and making it as easy as possible for the partners to get their campaigns up and running. So we have just little information about what is a campaign in a box. Then we have all the components, which I'll show you in a second, who the target audience is. We have a little checklist of some steps that they need to follow. And then of course, any guidelines for using our logos. But under each of these, so this is the actual asset here, the guide. But then we're actually using a tool within Allbound called a prospect page to create the different content. So at the top here, they'll have some instructions. And then this is just the copy that they can easily copy and paste into their marketing automation platform, or if they're just sending emails through, Microsoft Office, they can do that. We also have some images that we include, and of course the asset itself. So this is an example of the landing page. So again, very, very simple, but it's easy for them to use.
Oh,
we saw this one feature increase in utilization 900%, which during COVID, which the idea of creating these landing pages where you can have a click to call to action or connect or link to your Calendly or anything like that, because people didn't have access to their own marketing departments in the ways that they did pre-COVID. And so partners being able to get something out there to prospects immediately was really, really good.
Yeah, I found like it's really about like if you start thinking about, okay, the partner's going to dedicate, I don't know, from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. on a Thursday to run a campaign, right? And if he doesn't fall into that hour, they're just not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, that's not true in a lot of respect, but like if you make it that easy that you can run a campaign or within an hour, you're going to capture majority of your partners, right? Even the ones that are going to willing to put in more than an hour, they're going to be happy that they didn't have to, right? And this, like the guide piece of it is kind of interesting. It looks like it's got every like almost like a chunk of information for each piece. So it's like if you're doing a landing page, you do this. If you're doing social media, here's like all the copy. So there's really they don't have to go back to you for anything, right? It's kind of like It's self-run almost. They just have to log into their own channels, right?
Yep. That's the idea.
Is it specific? I know we had a question come up around like what types of partners do you work with? I know you said you had levels, but are you running campaigns for certain levels, or are these like, let's use the campaigns in a box, like are you running those for levels, or is it open to every single partner?
We allow it to be open to every single partner. We work mostly with resellers. So we want everyone to be able to access this information. And I would say, actually the smaller partners we find using this content more because, the larger partners, they have their own marketing department. Some of them are a marketing machine of their own. So, sometimes they'll come in and grab like the guide maybe itself, but they'll have their own landing page content and everything. So it's the smaller ones or maybe the mid-size that have maybe one marketing person, or maybe their admin is doing marketing. This is very easy for them to utilize.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's usually the ones that are bringing in deals, but you see lots of potential in that usually can use this stuff the most because they're either, like you said, like they're either underutilized or like under-resourced, sorry, or there's something else wrong, right? So if you can help give them that extra little bit of help, you can usually transition them to like a high performer. Like if they're already high performing, they've clearly figured it out, and yeah, you should continue supporting them in every way you can, but they're already running, right?
Right.
Well, it's the ones that are like, oh, like they're maybe they're not running every campaign, or they're only bringing in half the deals, or they're only bringing in deals like every other month. So clearly they need to do catch up every other month. So those are the ones that usually kind of need the help. So that's kind of where I was going with, like, is it kind of tailored to a specific one or not? But I mean, it sounds like it's almost like self-curating, like it's there if you need it. If you don't, you can kind of run your thing, right?
Right. Yeah. And we do have some campaigns that are maybe targeted towards a specific industry, but any partner could use it.
So on the industry side, it'd be a campaign in a box. It's like, oh, it's like financial services or whatever the industry is, and they can pick and choose. Like, well, if the partner focuses on that, they're going to use that campaign. If they don't, they're not. So I'm assuming you have multiple campaigns in a box running concurrently, kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Great. Awesome. All right. So I've got two more questions that I want to make sure that we cover before we're out of time. And they're kind of meaty. So one is, and Daniel, I think we had this chat, is, I think people are just exhausted, right? Like, everybody's back-to-back Zoom calls, just, sitting at a desk, like people are absolutely exhausted at the amount of communication that's happening. Like, you went from, maybe 4 meetings a day to, 12, because you can do them. Technically, you can do them, but everybody's exhausted, right? So have you seen any sort of trend that's happening? I know competing for attention is becoming more and more challenging, right? So what have you seen happen? And Daniel, this is a question for you too. So Danielle, why don't you answer first, and then Daniel?
Yeah, so I would say we have seen, just in general, webinars and virtual events and calls, people are getting a little tired of it. But I think it's from our standpoint, especially just in the partner engagement aspect, it's getting that multiple touch points. So, we send out our monthly channel newsletter, we have our cadence calls, then we have our QBRs with our partners. And we're also doing a series that I didn't mention, a webinar series with, it's called our Channel Updates webinar series. So it can focus on product, sales, marketing, training, anything. And we just take specific topics that partners are asking about. If we see that multiple partners are asking about a certain topic, then we create a webinar on it. And I mean, it's not, they're just not attending a webinar to attend a webinar, right? It's something that they really want to learn about or are interested in. So I think it's really finding, cutting through all the clutter and finding what they are really wanting to know about, and then focusing on that.
That's kind of interesting, because we actually had a session, I want to say a few weeks ago now, around kind of podcasting as it relates to SaaS partnerships, and this idea of launching a podcast or webinar or some sort of series, engaging with, if you're running, this was on running kind of agency partnerships, bringing in agency partners to talk about issues that they're all struggling with, right? So it's about kind of position your product as hey, yes, we add value to what you guys are doing, but we also recognize that you're running an agency, which has a whole other set of challenges. So you kind of bring in partners as the experts. Hey, this agency who's also a partner is really good at this. Check out what they did, and kind of sharing knowledge that way. It obviously provides a lot of value for the partner, because you're bringing them on board, you're bringing a new audience to them that could be potential customers, partners, but it adds value to the other partners, because they're like, oh, well, yeah, I actually was extremely challenged with that piece of it last month, but now there's something there that's above and beyond just, hey, check out our product features. You're adding value to the entire ecosystem as opposed to just your partner ecosystem. So that's kind of interesting. So I'm assuming part of that was the COVID thing of okay, we can't see anybody in person, we need to bring people together around the table to talk about issues. So was there more campaigns that were COVID specific? They were okay, we can't go to a conference, we got to do something else. Was there any specific things that came to mind that were COVID projects?
Yes, for us, for sure. I mean, so we're in a unique position because our software has several different solutions that can help organizations kind of track and manage who's sitting where, and that social distance 6 feet circle, and all kinds of other things related to back to work. So we do have several campaigns in a box that are related to that specifically. And we actually, one of our applications, health and safety, we're still giving it away for free, new licenses until the end of September of this year. So we had a whole campaign around that. So there was a lot of focus around the managing of hybrid, working from home, all that.
Right. And I'll go back to this, but Danielle, I totally forgot. I wanted to hear about your opinion around the competing attention spans. I mean, you guys are working with quite a few companies across the board, helping them engage with partners. Are you seeing any specific items that are kind of dropping off the planet that are just okay, this is just not working anymore, people just are over it, or something that just keeps on giving, any specific tactic or strategy you've seen?
Yeah, I really like what Danielle said about having something almost thematic. So if you're going to do a set of webinars around how to do social distancing with their software and things like that, that's going to attract a certain group of people. Or like what you were saying, Evan, if you're going to have, what's on the top of mind for agencies. I think that what we're seeing not work, to go to the reverse of that, is when, people pivoted in their messaging to do webinars and, podcasts and blast emails during COVID, but haven't really created a grouping mechanism for those things, have not really had a thematic approach where it just feels like you're getting the same thing over and over again. And then using, the buzzwords of the new normal and things like that. I think people are just kind of tired of it. What's happening right now is we're getting a lot of questions about, do we start to see partners in person? Do we start to go to, events? And, we see here on the Slack channel for CSA, people, where can we get together for a drink in San Francisco or New York or wherever? I think that there's starting to be a desire for these relationships. And, whether it's Danielle, who has an amazing product, she's got competitors too. And a lot of you guys that have amazing products have competitors. And there's kind of a land grab for those relationships at the partner level right now, where if partners want to turn up for a face-to-face meeting somewhere and you're not doing that, that could be a challenge. And we have to be conscious of safety, and we have to be conscious of health and travel restrictions. And we have to also be thoughtful about, people that don't want to travel, and how do you create some level of interaction around the relationship, not just selling software, where if it's just about going in and getting your playbook and selling it, and it feels that kind of rinse and repeat over and over again, it gets tiring. And so what are you doing to invest in that? I'm seeing brilliant things about boxes of goodies getting sent out to partners, and different things that people are doing to just kind of refresh the relationship, not just get them to sell more stuff.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed that. And I know, we've had challenges, everybody's had challenges around, kind of that rinse and repeat formula, because people just are absolutely tired of it. They want you to kind of, it's like, let's have the real talk, right? And then we're trying to do that as much as we can, to be like, look, let's just have a conversation. Like, let's, like, formalities out of the window. Like, let's just have a real talk about, like, what are the challenges, what's going on, how can we help? And then we'll move on with our day. And that's kind of so you kind of have to keep changing the formula, like every month or two, to keep people engaged. But honestly, like, I think at the end of the day, you're right. Like, people do a lot, probably more than half, not even now, and increasing, people want that human interaction, right? But at the same time, we're like, the CSA is launching restarting our conference, 10th annual, this fall. And when we're kind of talking about it, we're like, okay, like, we're going to have some sort of online portion of it, because there's also people that are kind of expecting that now, right? Not because, I mean, maybe they don't want to travel, but maybe it's just like, oh, like, I just don't have the time now that I figured out I can bang out, 12 meetings instead of 4. But I still want to attend this. So the formula is changing. That kind of leads me to my last question that I have, is around, like, I think a lot of things forced us to figure, like, COVID forced us kind of figure out a lot of these new tactics, new strategies, that were really meant to be a placeholder for until things got back to normal. It took way longer than I think anybody thought. However, I know we've figured out a lot of things that are like, oh my God, like, we're still keeping that, like, even after this. It was painful, like, hate the fact that we had to go through this to figure this out. But what are some of the things you see kind of keeping, even 3 years from now, or 2 years from now, next year? Like, is there any specific thing that stands out that you want to keep out of this COVID mess, Danielle?
Yeah, so the channel updates webinar series that I mentioned, that basically came out of COVID. We typically would have an in-person user conference, and then we would tag on a partner conference, the one that Daniel was mentioning in New Orleans in 2019. And that's where we would, go through all of these different topics and highlights for our partners. And now I feel like, I mean, we'll probably go back to that, just, because it is nice to get together with the partners and see them face to face and have real conversations in person. But I think we will definitely keep that series, just because, it's not like every partner attends every webinar. They only attend what is relevant to them and what they are interested in hearing about. So I think it's really efficient right? We don't have to have the one-on-one conversations with every single partner about the same topic. We're talking to those who care about it, and for those that maybe it doesn't apply to, they don't have to attend and listen to it.
Awesome. Thanks for that. All right, we've got one question. If there's any, so we've got about just a little under 10 minutes left. So if there's any questions, please post them in the Q&A. But we've got one here around, what best motivates partners. I think where I would like to see out of this question is like, if you could really choose, we talked about campaigns in box, lead registration, newsletter, web, partner webcast. There's a lot of tactics there around engagement. And I think obviously having them all in tandem and then having a piece of software or something that tracks all of this, that's the magic formula. It's not really like one or the other, but let's just say, like, for the sake of argument, like you could only pick one. What is the one that you really saw the most motivation for a deal to come through and close? Like if you could pick one tactic, one strategy, one thing, like what would it be? Like lead gen, the webcat, like what was the one thing?
Yeah, I mean, I would say giving partners leads, that's what they always want. And MDF, right? Those are the tactical pieces of it. But overall, I would say I think they value being heard and listened to. That's the one thing that I think out of all of this that we've learned in the past 2 years that I've been here is that they are more willing to put forth more effort when they feel like that, what they are saying to us is being heard and that we're doing something about it, or we are, like I said earlier, that some partners were like, well, this is great that you're giving us a campaign in a box, but I need more time in advance to be able to get it up and running. Like just little things like that, tweaking things that you have that you can easily tweak on your side that would help the partner on their side. And I think once you have that more open communication, then I think that's the biggest motivator, right? They want to do better, not only for themselves, but for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like it's always been a challenge though. And I think with some programs, especially when you're running when your deal partner is an agency or kind of a smaller shop, I want to say, you've got maybe 200, 300, 400, 500 partners. And it's like, can I listen to everybody? No. But it's like taking a sample size, right? Like if you can listen to 20 or 30 and take the reoccurring themes and fix them, that is way better than not doing anything, right? So you kind of start somewhere, right? Like if everybody's saying we need more lead time, that's a pretty easy fix. Like, hey, like let's just get an extra couple weeks on this thing. Like, and then next one, and next thing you know, 6 months later, you've added like 8 or 9 things that you wouldn't have added into the formula that comes directly from feedback of the partners, right?
Right. Yeah, we also do an annual partner survey. So just to get feedback again from them on what are we doing well, what are we not doing so well, that sort of thing. And we also on the partner portal on Allbound, we have a contact us. So if somebody really has a question or have some feedback, they can enter that information on Allbound and it comes directly to me and we can answer it directly.
That's amazing. All right. So what, just to like one kind of bonus question, where do you envision this program like next year? Like based on, like you've got this, like, I feel like you've got this like injection, that's like, hey, we've got all these tools and campaigns and like, this is exciting. It's working. Like we're seeing a trend. We've had a great year. Obviously, like, is the next step scaling the team? Is it like the product? Like, where do you, I'm not holding you, nobody's holding you to it. It's really just like where do you see this thing in like 3 years? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think we'll always be making small improvements here or there to the partner portal, to the program, obviously to our products, more than small tweaks there. But I think really what we are now focusing on, now that we have a good handle on all of the tools and resources that are available to our partners and how they access all of that, now we're focused on how do we get more partners. And so one of our key deliverables for this year is we're working on an onboarding roadmap. And actually on the partner portal, I can show you, if you want, really quickly.
Yeah, do it.
We have a partner onboarding roadmap. So this helps partners that we bring on board to kind of get started. And again, very simple, but we have a product demo track, how to use the partner portal, a sales demo track. This is specific to a specific product, but then we also have like a marketing track. So these are things to help speed up the onboarding process and also streamline it. And so that's kind of what we're focusing on now.
Yeah, no, I think partner recruitment is I mean, I think we have had several sessions on those, and we're definitely going to continue to talk about that. And it does differ depending on the company and product. But honestly, having stuff like this where it's you're not doing the same thing over and over again. Like you kind of create something like, okay, they need to know about the product, or they need to know, you kind of package it and it's like there, and then you can point people. And when you're having the conversation early on to say, okay, yeah, that's that type of partner, they're going to need this challenge. It's like, okay, John Doe, like do 3 of these modules, you're going to see the most value, and go. So you're not kind of wasting time. I think those things are, again, it's all about like, if you can measure it, track it, you can scale it, right? And
yes,
having this there, it's like you can make this better, you can delete things, you can add things, but having them there so it's visually like, okay, we've got this tactic we can run. It's much easier to kind of scale the whole thing, right?
Yes, definitely.
Awesome. Daniel, do you have anything to add? I think, I mean, this was incredible. Like I said, we could probably spend an hour like talking about just deal registration, but I think we covered a lot. Daniel, is there anything else you wanted to add, or are you good?
Yeah, just super quickly, what Danielle is doing is very, very advanced. She has a very thoughtful, multi-tiered program with over 100 partners. And so, when you're thinking about scaling your program, don't start with everything Danielle is doing if you're kind of newer to channel. You want to create the model that's working for the first few partners, figure that out, and then get to where she is. This is years and years of experience that she has, and her company's been doing partner program for a very long time, and adding this level of automation and tiering and MDF. This is advanced stuff, and they're fantastic at it. And they're backed by JMI, a very famous private equity firm, and this is one of the best performing companies in JMI because of how they run their partner program. You don't start there on day one. That's all I wanted to say.
No, that
Yes,
you nailed it. Yeah, and I mean, congrats on everything you've been able to do. That it's like when I talk to people about running these and launching these programs, it's that like what you're doing is kind of the what I get people excited about. Say, hey, like this is what it can be and what it should be. But 100%, there's no, and in fact, large majority of people, especially in like the last year and a half, 2 years, that are launching these, it's like a team of 1-2 people. Like you're not gonna go with this straight out of the gates. But like I said, like starting with 1 is always a good start, and then leveling up, making it better, and make it scalable. So congrats on everything so far. Okay, so I think we're at time here. So thanks everybody for joining us. Danielle, thanks for being part of this. Both of these individuals are part of the CSA Slack community. So if you do have questions, throw them in there. We'll get them answered. If you, we'll have this recording as well on our YouTube channel if you missed it. But for now, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.